Prince William is reportedly formulating a plan to finally strip Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their HRH titles. Riley Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au, and he's always across the latest celebrity headlines.
It didn't start with a scandal. Not this time. It started with a whisper, a quiet ripple moving through the ancient halls of Westminster. No tabloid hysteria, no paparazzi photos, just murmurs among lords, hushed conversations over tea, and one growing consensus. Something had to be done. And now, the British establishment is preparing to do what Buckingham Palace refused to: strip Meghan Markle of her royal title once and for all. For years, Meghan Markle has carried the title Duchess of Sussex, a name once bestowed with symbolic, regal honor, now worn like a marketing slogan. After leaving royal duties in 2020, Meghan and Prince Harry agreed, publicly and officially, not to use their HRH titles. It was a trade. Freedom for formality. The Queen signed off, the palace stood still, and the world moved on. Or so we thought. But Meghan didn't let go. Instead of quietly stepping back, she leaned in, into the spotlight, into the brand, and into the fame. From Netflix documentaries to red carpet interviews, her royal association became her signature, her ticket, her shield, her product. What was meant to be retired out of respect to the crown was, instead, monetized, packaged, stylized, and sold to the highest bidder. And for years, the monarchy remained silent. That silence has now shattered. Inside the House of Lords, Britain's oldest chamber of democracy, a formal petition has been tabled. And it's no symbolic gesture, it's a legislative motion, one designed to erase Meghan Markle's Duchess title in the eyes of the state. The motion didn't come from Twitter. It didn't erupt on morning television. It came from Lord Simon Lee, a crossbench peer, backed by both Conservative and Labour members. That kind of unity doesn't happen for gossip. It happens when protocol has been broken and dignity has been discarded. The petition is blunt. It accuses Meghan Markle of exploiting her title for commercial gain, mocking royal status, and breaching diplomatic norms. It cites her Netflix appearances, her Spotify podcast, her public statements, her unofficial royal tours, and most of all, her use of the Duchess of Sussex title as a tool to build a personal empire. To many inside the chamber, that title is no longer a symbol of royal duty. It's become a hashtag, a logo, and a PR strategy. And what finally pushed them over the edge? A moment so brief, most people dismissed it as a joke. At Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter concert in Los Angeles, a viral clip surfaced of Meghan laughing and shouting, "You know I'm Sussex now!" She turned to Mindy Kaling and reportedly said, "Call me Meghan Sussex. Harmless, maybe, but not to Parliament." That moment became the tipping point, the final confirmation that Meghan viewed her title not as a responsibility, but as a punchline. The petition specifically references that viral video, calling it a crass trivialization of sovereign designations. In other words, Meghan turned nobility into parody. And that was enough. What started as whispers became a war cry. What began in silence erupted into formal debate in one of the most powerful political chambers in the world. But this isn't just about one concert clip. It's about a pattern. And the most damning example of that pattern came just weeks ago. Prince Harry and Meghan took a trip to Nigeria. Officially, it was a private cultural visit. In reality, it looked like a royal tour, complete with traditional regalia, high-level military escorts, government receptions, and speeches invoking British heritage. All of it broadcasted with smiling photos and polished statements. What's the problem? The Foreign Office and Buckingham Palace were never consulted. No protocol, no clearance, no authorization. It was rogue diplomacy, performed under the banner of titles they were told not to use. According to insiders, Whitehall was blindsided. Senior government officials were furious, and so were members of the House of Lords. This, they argued, wasn't personal branding. It was a constitutional breach. By using her Duchess title to appear as a representative of the crown, Meghan Markle had crossed a line, one that the monarchy could ignore, but Parliament could not. The petition describes the Nigeria visit as unauthorized diplomatic posturing and warns it risks undermining the monarchy's neutrality abroad. In plain terms, Meghan was playing royal without the royal rules. And now, the establishment is ready to revoke her access to the role altogether. And it didn't help that this wasn't her first time crossing that line. Meghan's podcast, Archetypes, is also named in the petition. In it, she references her royal experience repeatedly, discussing racism, mental health, and strained family relations. The monarchy, as always, remained silent. But Parliament keeps receipts. The Lords argue that Meghan's public statements, made while still carrying the Duchess title, caused diplomatic embarrassment across the Commonwealth. Her allegations in the Oprah interview about unnamed royals, racist comments, and neglect may have fueled headlines, but they also painted an entire institution as inherently toxic. And she did it all under the cover of royal status. That, the Lords argue, is not protected speech. That is institutional sabotage. In response, defenders have cried foul, calling the petition sexist, racist, or politically motivated. But the Lords insist this isn't personal, it's constitutional. The Royal Titles Act of 1917 forbids the misuse of noble designations for commercial or performative purposes. And in the eyes of Britain's lawmakers, Meghan has violated that principle again and again. Consider the Netflix deal, the Spotify partnership, the branding of Sussex Royal. Even after being asked to retire the word royal from her branding, Meghan and Harry attempted to trademark it internationally. They only backed down after the Queen personally intervened. Parliament has not forgotten. And now, the public hasn't either. A May 2025 YouGov poll revealed that 77% of Britons believe Meghan should lose her Duchess title. That's not a slim majority. That's a national verdict. Even 61% support removing Harry's HRH status, though the current focus remains squarely on Meghan, her visibility, her brand, her choices. And here's the part Meghan's defenders can't spin. This isn't coming from tabloids or celebrity gossip. It's coming from the core of British governance. The monarchy may have chosen restraint, but Parliament is choosing enforcement, because titles are more than names. They're institutions, symbols, vessels of duty and honor. And to lawmakers, Meghan Markle has treated hers like a reality TV prop, used when convenient, discarded when not. To the Lords, this wasn't just about bad optics. It was about betrayal. Betrayal of an institution that had once embraced Meghan with open arms. They gave her a title, a platform, and a place in one of the oldest monarchies on Earth. And in return, they watched as that title was dragged through podcast studios, turned into punchlines, and repackaged for profit. But it wasn't just Meghan's actions. It was the perception she left behind. Publicity stunts, private jets, staged photo ops, headlines about paparazzi car chases, described by NYPD officials as exaggerated. Self-styled victimhood, perfectly timed with brand launches. The Lords described it not as injustice, but as a self-inflicted public spectacle, designed to retain just enough royal association to keep the spotlight burning. They pointed to other royals, Princess Alexandra, for instance, who've served for decades in quiet dignity. No Netflix deals, no Spotify exclusives, no press meltdowns, and then there's Meghan, red carpets, cameras, and catchphrases. The contrast couldn't be more stark. At the heart of this storm is one unavoidable truth. You can't have royalty without responsibility. You can't wear the crown when it benefits your brand and toss it aside when it doesn't. And that's exactly what lawmakers are saying. Meghan and Harry wanted freedom. They got it. They left the palace gates behind, but what followed wasn't privacy. It was strategy. It was power without permission, and Parliament is done watching from the sidelines. The Lords have gone so far as to accuse Meghan of turning her noble title into a tabloid accessory, a badge she wears when selling stories, and a shield she raises when criticized. One moment, she's Duchess Meghan. The next, a misunderstood outsider. But always, the title remains. The final sections of the petition are the most damning of all. They cite Meghan's frequent appearances at celebrity events, her use of royal branding in commercial ventures, and her refusal to clarify her role when acting in public. They reference the Oprah interview directly, calling it public incitement against the crown, all carried out while still bearing a title that should have required silence, not sound bites. And in one particularly scathing paragraph, the Lords note that Meghan Markle is no longer a working royal. She is not representing the British people. She lives in Montecito, attends Hollywood galas, and films Netflix documentaries. In short, they argue she has become a duchess in name only, a duchess without a duty. And that, they say, is unacceptable. Even Meghan's defenders are struggling to contain the fallout. The Beyoncé comment, once brushed off as a joke, has become symbolic. It encapsulates everything critics accuse her of, making light of tradition, mocking nobility, and using the monarchy as a brand extension. And for Parliament, that's more than a faux pas. It's grounds for revocation. Legal experts are now openly discussing the 1917 Royal Titles Act, the very foundation of modern British nobility. They argue that Meghan's conduct could be seen as a direct violation of this law, which prohibits using titles for private financial benefit. And if Parliament agrees, this could go far beyond just removing Duchess from a business card. It could rewrite precedent. The implications are staggering. For the first time in modern British history, a royal title could be removed not by scandal, not by abdication, but by legislative force. A constitutional eviction delivered not by the monarch, but by Parliament itself. Not a royal fallout, a royal reckoning. And that brings us to the final act. This isn't just about Meghan anymore. It's about what the title of Duchess of Sussex means. It's about whether nobility can be licensed like a brand, whether tradition can be monetized into marketing, whether a centuries-old institution still has the power to define itself, or whether it's at the mercy of influencers and algorithms. Because if titles mean nothing, if they can be tossed around like PR slogans, then the monarchy loses more than face. It loses function. And that's what the House of Lords is fighting to prevent. They've seen enough. The silence from the crown has been deafening. King Charles has refused to comment. Prince William remains stoic. But in Parliament, the voices are rising. The vote may be weeks away, but the message has already been sent. Meghan Markle's reign as Duchess of Sussex is hanging by a thread. And this time, it's not about family, it's about law. The title she once saw as her fairy tale ending may now become her political undoing. What began with a whisper is ending with thunder, and the crown is watching, silently, but not blindly. Because when nobility becomes novelty, when royalty becomes reality TV, and when silence turns into spectacle, the system must decide, adapt, or defend itself. And in this case, it's choosing defense. Meghan Markle may have built her empire on the prestige of her title, but now that very foundation is cracking, not under gossip, not under press, but under the weight of Parliament, law, and public outrage. What happens next may define not just Meghan's legacy, but the monarchy's future, because this isn't just about one woman, it's about the sanctity of an institution. And Britain has decided the Duchess of Sussex may soon be Duchess no more. If you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more deep dives into royal controversies, and let us know in the comments, should Meghan lose her title, or is this all just political theater? Your voice matters more than ever.